Make sure we are launched over here on both sides. Do a little audio check. Make sure we are counted in and signaled up and everything is rocking and rolling. Get our mic in place. Here we go. Hopefully everybody's having a absolutely fantastic day or night wherever you are in the world. Leave a little guide comment here. Leave, let's say, drop your MCAT or Premed or med school application questions here. Let's talk about getting the white coat. All right, there we go. And post, boom. All right, let's jump over here on the other side. Same thing. We will post this as our guide comment. Hopefully everybody's doing great. Let's go ahead and pin that comment as well. All right, so we'll start off. Let me go ahead and launch us with a nice little I think I want to launch with I really think I want to launch with a question for you guys, because the world is changing fast. You know, we have a new story coming out every little bit talking about the future of doctors and AI and all of that stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is let's launch with a nice little rant about this. So you have an interest in medicine. You've always dreamed of becoming a doctor. You really think it's cool that doctors have this very constructive team relationship with their patients. This can be anything from a short-term emergency room visit all the way up to a lifetime of care with a family physician. But now you realize the year is 2026 and you're in the era of AI, and there's constantly news stories about AI being better at medicine than doctors, and our doctors going to get replaced. So my question to you is, what exactly are you going to do? Do you still want to become a doctor? And if you do, how do you envision the future of medicine in the era of AI? Now that reasoning and memory and all of these different sort of logical tasks can be performed really well by AI, and they're getting better every day, and the rate of discovery in science is getting almost too fast for humans to keep up with, are you still going to feel useful as a doctor? I'm just curious for the next generation of people who are planning on becoming doctors, what you think about the future of medicine and becoming a doctor in the era of AI. Drop a comment and let me know. All right. So welcome in, guys. We're here to chat about med school admissions. But I had to record a quick little rant about that because this is something that in the medical world, we are definitely talking every single day in the medical world about what the future of medicine looks like. The more the cognitive tasks and memory tasks and even diagnostic tasks can be performed really well by AI. So I'm certainly curious to know. I'm here to answer your questions about doing better on the MCAT. I'm here to help you guys with your applications, to answer questions you have, but I'm also curious what you think about the era of AI and how this is going to affect your decision to go into medicine. So definitely let me know what you guys think about how AI is going to impact your future as a doctor. So for those of you guys who are going to be starting med school in the next couple of years, you will be doing residency, sometime in the next 4 to 6 years, and then you'll be practicing medicine in the next like 8 to 10 years. And so you guys are a unique population, right? Everybody who comes in who is, thank you guys for jumping on. Drop a like if you can. Everybody who is getting into medicine is typically really unique because you're part of a very rare group of people who just have a very long-term thought process. In fact, this should be my next rant that I post. I think it might be. I just think it's unique. The unique thing about people going into medicine is that pre-meds think of life really far in advance. There's a lot of people who are like, hey, man, I'm going in, I'm going to get a certification and this new skill, and then next year I'm going to have a new job. And pre-meds inevitably are getting involved in a track where they're going to be doing the rest of their college career. So, anywhere from 1 to 4 years, depending on how far along they are. And then they're going to be applying to med school and then doing med school for 4 years and then potentially doing another, few years of residency, and then having their really truly sort of settled career position, ballpark like 8 to 11 to 15 years from now. And, that's a long time. What is it that makes you, if you're a pre-med, have that long track reasoning that you think is unique to pre-meds, that gives you the motivation to run the marathon instead of just running the sprint? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys, had to get a couple rants out of the way. Let me know what is on everybody's mind today. Let me know what you are thinking about or working on for the MCAT. I always like to hear from people and know kind of where everybody is in the journey. For those of you guys on the YouTube side or the TikTok side, drop a comment and let me know where you are in the process. If you have a question about the MCAT or admissions, let me know. I should leave this up here for like 10 seconds every now and then. So if you're new here, I'm Dr. Matt. I've been helping people for, I think, like over 13 years now to get into med school. All right, Donald says, I'm taking the MCAT next year, August, and I'm a rising junior. I don't know where to start. Okay, so this is a really fantastic question. In fact, let's record another rant off of this one. Here we go. Let's actually change this. Let's actually change this entire like text here. This is wonderful. This is a great question, man. So here we go. MCAT, where to start? All right, let's do it. Here we go. Boom. There we go. And all right. Okay. Fantastic question. So this is a great question from Donald. Where to start with the MCAT? Every single time we do a live, we get people asking, knowing that they're going to take the MCAT, knowing they need to take it sometime the next like year and a half. And it sounds really daunting. Everybody knows it's a really intense exam and that it can make or break your opportunity to go to med school and become a doctor. So where to start? The very first thing I would say is you want to have a ballpark idea that it's basically a full day exam, that it has 4 sections, but outside of that general knowledge that it's like a physics, chemistry, biology, biochemistry, psychology, sociology, and reading comprehension exam, you're going to want to jump in and actually take a practice test. Just take a free one, take a real free one from the AAMC. Just type AAMC free MCAT practice test into Google and you'll be fine. Mind you, the whole point of that is to give you a little bit of shock there because it's a bizarre exam and the vast majority of people do not do well on their first practice test. The timing can be hard, the context can be hard, and the content is very broad. Now, after that, you're going to want to get into a question bank and give yourself a few months to actually do a few thousand, yes, you heard me right, a few thousand practice problems. Don't give up, don't slow down, don't stop. This is how you're going to learn what you need to know for the MCAT. You do not need to do practice exams yet. wait to do additional practice exams after that first sort of shock therapy one until you have actually done a few thousand practice problems. Okay. That is sort of the outline of what you need to do to get ready and start knowing where you're going on the MCAT. For more specific help, you can always reach out to me at mcatboss.com. All right. Fantastic question, Donald. Zonky says, why the MCAT and not the M-Dog? You know what? I love that. That's great. Why not, right? All right. Grumpy Medic says, can you give a sample question? Okay. So actually, let me see if I have any preloaded ones. I might just have a preloaded one here. Let me see. Now that's an outline one. Hang on one second. Let me actually see if I have a preloaded one. That's the website. Y'all can always visit mcatboss.com. Okay. Well, I tell you what, this thing right here, let me turn that one off. Okay. This thing right here is an example of a reading comprehension passage. So this is not obviously an actual practice question, but this is an example of a passage, right? So we'll totally have a short read through here. Guys, welcome in if you're new here. I'm Dr. Matt, and welcome in on the YouTube and the TikTok side. I help people get into med school. All right. So for centuries, the artisanal tradition was defined by the intimate relationship between the creator and the final product. The craftsman was involved in every phase of production, from raw material selection to the final decorative touches. This holistic approach fostered a deep understanding of materials and a high degree of personal responsibility for the quality of the output. In this paradigm, efficiency was subordinated to integrity and aesthetic value, with each object serving as a unique reflection of the maker's skill. The onset of the Industrial Revolution fundamentally disrupted this model. By introducing the division of labor, early factories fractured the artisanal process into discrete, repetitive tasks. Artisanship was increasingly replaced by manufacturing, prioritizing mass production and economic scalability over the singular handcrafted object. While this shift democratized access to goods by significantly lowering costs, it initiated a profound alienation between the worker and the product of their labor. The worker became a technician focused on a specific mechanical step rather than a creator guiding an object from conception to completion. Now, guys, if you were reading this and you feel like you're sort of following the argument, and you feel like you would be comfortable essentially describing what the author is trying to convey, and if you feel comfortable with the kind of sort of analytic questions that they would ask you off of this, then you're getting a sense for how you would feel about the cars section. So this is the reading comprehension section, right? And that section is sort of notoriously famous for being incredibly hard for a lot of students, because a lot of times they ask you questions that are essentially inference questions. Like, if the author were to encounter, let's say LLM assisted writing, what would they likely think? And of course, you can gather that the author is kind of lamenting the fact that people no longer actively control the thing that they're making. Like, you don't have a single person sit down and make an entire furniture piece or an entire carving or an entire automobile. And you could infer that the author would likewise feel that LLM assisted writing was separating the art of writing from the actual artist. And that is kind of the inference game that is played with the car section. So a very good question. All right, guys, we will hang out probably like maybe 5 more minutes or so. If you have any other questions, guys, drop them in and let me know what your questions are, and we'll hang out probably about 5 more minutes. If things pick up in the next like 5 to 10 minutes, then we might hang out more like another half hour. We will totally see. Welcome in, Jamie, Yabo, Kim, Letitia, welcome in. How do I study for the MDOG? You know what? I think this needs to be our new thing. We need to petition the AAMC and say that the MCAT has had its day. We don't need any more MCAT. Why don't we just go ahead and why don't we aim to have them change let's just aim to have them change the name from MCAT to MDOG, and everybody will already feel better about the test. Maybe if we can just get them to switch it from MCAT to MDOG. I think that is such a fun idea. Yabo says, I just trust a dog better than a cat as a physician. See, there you go. We officially have decided as of August 26th of the year 2026 that the MCAT is no longer here. You know what? Let's make it official. Here we go. Let's change it from the MCAT to the MDOG. There we go. MDOG, where to start on the pre-med journey. See, we're going to leave this up for just a second because it's funny. And then we're going to take it down because it's going to be like deeply confusing because people are going to be like, what is the MDOG? And then I guarantee you somebody's going to go Google, like, what is the MDOG? What school do you get in with the MDOG? And the AI is going to be like, there is no such exam as the MDOG. What are you talking about? See, exactly. This is a major win for physicians everywhere. And then we can, all of the old doctors can be like, oh, back in my day, it wasn't the MDOG, it was the MCAT. This is perfect. Let's sign a petition and get it over to the AMC. Okay, so this really truly is going to somebody's going to be so confused by this. Let's go ahead and change this real quick. MCAT, boom, there we go. Okay, okay. We have an awesome question here. It says some people use AI to study. Do you think that's beneficial? So now the answer to this, I have to be extremely, extremely nuanced. The best example that I like to give people is that if you were to zoom, I don't know, I'm gonna like make myself sound super old by saying this, but if you were to zoom back to like the end of the 90s or the beginning of the 2000s, when more and more people were getting internet access, you could probably find some kind of librarians arguing that that like access to the internet was really bad for student intelligence, right? Like that students everywhere were going to become illiterate because, after all, instead of having to go to the library and figure out the answer to a problem, or instead of having to go to an expert, thank you guys for helping us hit 1,000 likes. Instead of having to go to an expert, people were just going to, they were just going to, like go on the internet and look up answers and read on the internet instead of reading in paperback books. And, I mean, to some degree that might be true, but the young people of the world figured out that you can use the internet to do research. You can use the internet to read books. You can use the internet to find answers to complicated problems. And so like we adopted our learning style to the technology. And if you were the kid who like didn't study, if you were the kid who just used the internet to look up answers, and then you turned in your practice homework by just looking up answers on the internet, then yeah, I mean, you probably didn't learn anything if you did that, and you probably, just did pretty poorly on your test. The exact same principles that made some people do really, really well with the internet and studying, those are the same principles that I think help distinguish between people who use AI really intelligently and people who don't, right? Like, I'll be like really frank with you guys. I think AI can be really, really powerful as a learning tool, but you have to use it in the same way that you would use any other resource. Yabo says it was better when we use papyrus. The tactile feel helps students learn better. There you go. Why not go all the way back to like a clay tablet and some like cuneiform, right? The pressing of the little triangles to make all the letters. That is what we should be doing. We should be teaching people in an ancient Assyrian tongue or an ancient Mesopotamian language using cuneiform, and that is how we should be learning and studying for the MCAT. So, but for real though, if you are like, hey, spit out 100 bullet points for the MCAT knowledge, and you're just using it to essentially make you bullet points, you're only going to learn the same thing as if you just like printed out a page or two from like a Kaplan book on the MCAT content topics. The students who are going to do really well are the students who are like, hey, AI, I'm a pre-med. I really want to do well in the MCAT. Can you grill me on the first like 10 topics on the bio and biochem section of the MCAT? And ask me with multiple choice questions, and then explain why I'm right or wrong in my answer. And then have whatever your AI is actually make you questions, make you think through it, try it out. And then when you get it wrong, chew you out and tell you why you did wrong and what to do to get it right. You know what I mean? All right. Next one says, freshman in college. Do you have any tips? Okay. Yes. So if you're trying to do well on your application for med school, right? The main thing you need to be thinking about for your first 2 years is just keeping the highest possible GPA and starting to get your volunteer hours in while you have plenty of time. So shadow some doctors, maybe get a clinical job, hang out in the coattails of the doctors or in the emergency department or something. But mostly just like really try to get good grades, because I think it sets the pace a lot when you do well your first 2 years. You have a little bit more of a cushion. You don't have to panic so much later. We will stand here probably about 5 more minutes, guys. Drop those questions in. Thank you for the interactions. Just a quick welcome and reminder to anybody who's new here. I am Dr. Matt. I'm the founder of MCATboss.com, and I am an MD, and I've been teaching people on a variety of different MCAT companies and online how to ace the MCAT for a long time. For my own personal journey, I started out as a non-traditional, coming over from a different career, and completely tanked on my first couple practice MCATs, and then flipped the script, taught myself how to do well, and taught myself up to a 98th percentile score with a couple 100th percentile sections, and got and interview invites at almost every school I applied to, and got accepted at almost every school that I interviewed at. And the rest is history. And now I'm a doctor, and I still teach the MCAT because I think it can be the door opener or door closer for a lot of people. And I think more of you guys deserve the shot at the white coat and deserve to have that field kind of leveled for you. So I will flip that off, but drop me a line at MCATboss.com. I do try to throw in either like a complimentary extension for sessions, or if you're booking one of the bigger packages, like a 15 or 30, I try to add like a 5 to 10 hour complimentary extension for people booking this week. So let me know, and I'm happy to get you on the calendar. All right, guys, drop those questions in there. I'm going to switch over for a second and check the YouTube side, and then I'll check back here in just a second. Drop those questions in. We will try to stay on about 2 more minutes if we don't have any questions. If we do, then we might stay on about 10 more minutes or so. Take a quick look. Drop your questions here. All right. And I need to record a rant about the M-Dog idea, and we should go make it official that we're no longer going to accept the name of MCAT, and we'll go ahead and flip things around and actually start getting people studying for the M-Dog. I think it will bring a degree of levity and lightheartedness, and take away the stress for some people by calling it something that people associate with happiness and calmness instead of fear and detachment, or however you would characterize the MCAT. So, all right, guys, I'm going to wait about 20 more seconds. And if we are officially wrapped on questions, then we will call it a night. And yeah, wish you guys the best. Okay, let me go ahead and jump over and say sayonara on the